Hi everyone, my name is Sergey Gusev and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show and explain how to paint a human eye in oils on canvas. So let's get started. You see my palette and my canvas. The size of my canvas is 8 × 8 inches, which is about 20 × 20 centimeters. I'm going to start painting right away without any underdrawing. So the first thing I'm gonna paint is the pupil of the eye. Let's pick up some ivory black and put a dark black dot almost in the center of the canvas, but a little higher. Remember that the pupil is the darkest part of the eye and usually the darkest part of the head. So we can use pure ivory black. After I painted the pupil, I'm gonna start painting the iris. So let's pick up some cobalt blue and paint a circle around the pupil. Remember that the iris is gonna be slightly darker from above and lighter from below. Also don't forget that the iris on the edges is darker than in the center. Okay, now it's time to mix a color for the reflection in the iris. Let's mix some cobalt blue, titanium white and cadmium lemon. The color is gonna be quite light and cold. And now I'm working on the reflection in the iris with a small soft synthetic brush. After I worked on the iris, I'm gonna paint a little in the sclera of the eye. You can see that I mixed some ochre, titanium white, added a little cobalt blue, and the color turns out so light, but at the same time much darker than pure white. Actually, sclera is never pure white. It has a shade of either ultramarine or ochre. And secondly, it turns towards the light source or away from it, changing its tonality. Actually, we almost never use pure white in portraits. Sometimes highlights in the eyes may be close to pure white, but usually they are darker and cooler. Usually the light source is cold and therefore sclera has a bluish shade. So let's add a little cold into the sclera and it will become a little cooler. When you paint the sclera, don't forget at the same time to slightly change the iris. Adjust its shape. If it is too large, you can reduce it. At the same time, if it is too small, don't forget to enlarge it. You have to keep the construction of the eye in your head all the time. And if you do not understand it, I recommend to make sketches of this facial detail, simply with a pencil on paper, just to understand and learn how it works and looks. Okay, I think it is time to talk about the construction of the eye. So, the eye is basically a sphere. There is a pupil in the center of the eye, surrounded by the iris and the cornea, which is transparent, so we do not see it. We see only a highlight on the surface of the cornea. The eye is surrounded by the upper and lower eyelids, from above and below. They lie on the spherical shape of the eye, so they are also semicircular. The light falls on them differently, depending on how the eyeball turns to the light or away from it. So, when you paint the eye, remember all the time that the eye is one big shape, and all the details, the pupil, cornea, eyelids, are lying on this large form, and they all either turn to the light or turn away from the light, so their tonal values change. That is, they become lighter or darker, and the color becomes either cooler or warmer. If you remember this, you won't make any mistakes. Okay, I think it's time to work on the eyelids. So don't forget that the upper eyelid makes a small cast shadow on the surface of the sclera and iris. Therefore, the sclera is a little darker from above than below. The iris, especially its outline, will be darker at the top because of that cast shadow. This way we see the volume of the eye much better. Right now I'm working on the shadow above the upper eyelid. It is actually quite dark and warm. So I mixed up some ivory black, burnt sienna and added a little bit of yellow ochre. Don't forget that when we paint we have to always draw. Drawing means tonal values, anatomy and construction. I also highly suggest to always compare shadows with darker shadows and lights with darker lights to make no mistakes in tonal values. When you're working on the skin tones around the eye, remember that the part which is close to the light source is gonna be cooler and lighter, and the part which is further away is gonna be darker and warmer. So when I want to make a color slightly darker and warmer, I'm adding a bit of burnt sienna, yellow ochre or cobalt blue. When I need to make a color slightly lighter and colder, I'm adding a little more titanium white, cadmium lemon and cobalt blue. I do not like to use a lot of medium, but once in a while I'm adding a tiny bit of linseed oil. Okay, I think it's time to work on the eyelashes. So let's get a small soft synthetic with a pointed round tip in our hands and mix some ivory black and burnt sienna. If you want to make the color thinner, I suggest to add a little bit of linseed oil. It is not necessary to draw each eyelash, so I would suggest to keep them in one big dark spot. Okay, I have worked enough on the eyelashes, so it's time to go back to the iris and work a little more on the reflection, and add some more details with a small round pointed synthetic brush. So let's mix some titanium white and cobalt blue to get a very strong, nice deep color. I really like using these synthetic brushes because they are very convenient to paint and draw at the same time. And we have to always draw when we paint, especially when we're working on a very complicated shape with a lot of details. If you see any mistake, don't forget to fix it right away. Remember to always soften the edges of the iris. Don't make any hard, sharp edges. Okay, this painting is slowly going to the end, and I think it's time to work on the eyebrow. I don't want to make it very detailed and highly suggest you to keep it as a big dark spot. So let's mix some ivory black, burnt sienna and cadmium lemon. I'm gonna use a few drops of linseed oil to thin the paint down. At the very end of this tutorial I'm going to work a little more all over the canvas, and if I see any mistake I'm gonna fix it right away. So I suggest you doing the same. Check out your painting, and if you see any mistake, try to adjust it and fix as much as you can. Okay, I think this painting is quite finished and I put on a simple nice frame. So let's take a look at how it turned out. I really hope that this tutorial was interesting and inspiring for you. You can help me out and share this video with your friends on your favorite social network. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, find me on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to visit my webpage and download the full video tutorials. If you like this video guys, put thumbs up and don't miss out on my new tutorials which are coming out really soon. I wish you good luck with your artworks guys and see you soon.